Well, it's time for the next episode, I guess you'd say. Sorry I'm not doing any fancy editing. It's some of this stuff is difficult to talk about. So it's easier just to spill it out, and to be honest, I don't know much about editing anyway. I learned. We're gonna try to keep it to 20 minutes again. That way it's easy to watch and easy to process. We started off last time talking about my parents, dad, my mom. There were a lot of things that contributed in small ways when I was a kid, especially the things my parents did, which I referenced in the last video. There were some other things I did as I got older that we'll touch on later and stuff like that, but let's keep this in timeline. So, where we left off was when things started getting bad with my mom. She would lose self-control when she got upset or frustrated, and especially when she was doing things, drinking especially. Her favorite thing when she was extremely over the edge was chasing us kids around with chip clips, which doesn't sound that bad. The only problem is she would pinch us with the chip clips and then squeeze down with her hand and leave whelps on us. And she thought she was being cute and playful. I'd have whelps on my back, my butt, the back of my legs, the back of my arms, as we'd always run and she'd catch us from behind, and so I could tell something wasn't right as a kid, but as an adult looking back, it's entirely different. I realize now that while my dad was using the drugs and alcohol to escape the things he had done and the choices he had made, my mom was doing it to escape the demons from her dad and the things my dad had done and the choices my dad had made. And in some ways, I wonder how much of it was the guilt she felt for what was going on with us. I sometimes wonder how much of it she really did or did not remember. Or if she did not remember, how much of it was her choosing to not remember it. Or subconsciously suppressing it. I don't know. I sometimes wonder how much of it she did suppress. But there were a few years in my childhood went along the same lines. Dad doing his thing, the physical and emotional abuse. Mom doing her. One second I'm super mom, the next second I'm not here mom, or the emotional manipulation. And I think part of her emotional manipulation was the fact that she herself was trying to feel like a person. And to this day, that still breaks my heart to think that. So, I'm sorry if you guys hear some noise in the background from my kids or dogs. I'm home alone with them, so there's no filter, and when they want to be loud, they're going to be loud. But I guess I think I was around 6 or 7 when I realized how bad mom was getting. Um, even when she wasn't on things, she got disconnected. You constantly forgot things. She, you know, wasn't there. And there'd be a lot of times she'd be in her bed sick, and we'd be trying to take care of her. And Dad didn't care. Dad was out doing his own thing, trying to make his deals, trying to bring his, get rich quick scheme in and make money for the family. Um, but he never made money for the family. That whole deal we talked about last time. Most of it was just a attempt for him to be able to get high on somebody else's dime. He didn't care about anything but that. Now, don't get me wrong, when mom and dad were sober, dad was a lot of fun. He was goofy, he was funny, he was fun to play with. We were all in Star Trek together. It was, you know. And mom was super mom when she was sober. She was cooking meals, cleaning the house, being, you know, miss, you gotta get to bed, you gotta do your bath, you gotta do your homework, and all that stuff like that. Supportive of art, supportive of my pastimes. But that was a very slippery slope. Drugs can only hide a problem for so long. Drugs can only make a problem disappear for so long. Eventually, it's going to catch up with you. Eventually, it's going to rear its ugly head and kick you in the butt, and you won't have anything to do about it. But lay there and take it. And my dad did not help. He only made things worse. He pushed her emotionally to her limits. And knowing what my grandfather had done, to this day it still ticks me off. I wonder how amazing of a mom she could have been if it wasn't for him and my grandfather. She had all the potential to be the best mom in the world. But they stole that from her. As children, they stole that from us. I wonder how different my childhood would have been if my mom would have been able to be there. Would have been able to be the mom that she was capable of being. But that was never an option. that was stolen from her before she was ever even a mom by her dad. Thinking about this to this day boils my blood. Makes me angry. Because I had to deal with it myself. And I had to watch my baby brother ride the wave of what was left and try to protect him during the whole time. Then came the fall apart. We were sent to stay with my grandmother and grandfather, my mom's parents. And mom ended up in a mental hospital. This was the first time. The second time was after we'd moved to Louisiana. There were some other things that overlapped with this in regards to my grandfather, but that's a whole different story time. We'll talk about that next time. But I remember the entire time she was in there, we weren't allowed to see her. It was like our mom just vanished. It doesn't matter what's going on with your mom or what type of mom she is or what she's going through. When you're that age, it's your mom. It's your mommy. Doesn't matter what she's done, who she is, or how bad she's been, or what reasons there are for what. When you're 8 years old, that's your mom. She's the one person you're always happy to see. The one person you want to be able to trust. And while mom was in the hospital, dad disappeared. We would maybe see him on weekends, or we'd maybe see him every other week. He was always off, said he was working. That's what he told my grandparents. I know he wasn't working. He just didn't want us. He was going out with his friends, doing what he wanted to do, partying. And we didn't exist. Unfortunately, I didn't really realize that until I was older. Well, I got it, but I didn't realize what it meant until I was older. Sorry about the occasional background noise. My son's being grumpy today, so you might hear him making his random grumpy noises. But, yeah. And then mom came home one day. Well, actually, I think she had been home for a few days when they came and got us. I can't remember the name of the car. It was this little orange hatchback car. And dad had gotten it while mom was in the hospital. It was a new used car, well, new to us car. And they come pulling in the driveway one day without very much announcement at all. We didn't really even realize they were coming. With the new car and everything looking good, mom looking refreshed, and It was, I don't know, part of me wanted to have hope. After everything else I'd gone through during that time while she was in the hospital, the thought that Mom might be better, she might be a mom, had me dreaming. I didn't realize till much later that Mom went in one person and came out a very different person. She was still doing drugs with Dad, because of course they weren't honest about, that. And the difference was, instead of becoming goofy and irresponsible when she was on drugs, she became bitter, resentful. We started hearing stories about all the great things she was doing before we were born. About all the great things that, she could have done if it hadn't been for us and our father. We started hearing stories about how amazing her life was and how she used to date this tall, gorgeous man, and she was in figure skating, and she was doing well in life, and she had good grades, and she would have been something if it hadn't been for us or our father. She went from being a loving mother when she was sober to being cold and resentful. That didn't last forever, but it didn't help either. At that age, realizing that your mother blames you and your father for her life being so horrible, it's kind of a hard pill to swallow. Kind of hits hard, hits deep, and takes its toll on you. Well, it's 17 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and call it quits for the day. My son's having a rough day, and I got to take care of him. If you guys enjoy these videos, I hope they help someone somehow, but I'll be posting again next Wednesday. Every Wednesday. I'll see y'all next Wednesday, and take care. Goodbye.